welcome back to my channel. This is Toyin, and if you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome. Please like, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Today I'd like to come here and talk about a case from Nigeria. It's not a religious case, it's just something that sparked my interest and I've been watching for a while, and that is the case of Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan versus the Senate President Akpabio. So this situation is one that I've been watching for quite a while. If you don't know the story, I'll give you a bit of a background. So Senator Natasha is one of 4 women in the Nigerian Senate, and she represents a northern constituency, a northern district, and from what I can tell, I mean, she's a very impressive woman. So last month, she was trying to put a proposal through in the Senate House, and she stood her ground, and the Senate President wasn't trying to recognize her. This is Akpabio. He wasn't trying to recognize her or let her speak, and she stood her ground, insisted on being heard, and was, it was a bit of a kerfuffle. So the following day, Senate President Akpabio made a statement saying that Senator Natasha made a scene within the Senate because she wanted more screen time. She wanted to be seen on television. And in all honesty, this statement rubbed me up the wrong way. I saw it as a misogynistic statement, and I didn't like it. And I felt that if she was a male senator, would he have made the same sort of statement? Senator Natasha also did not like the way the statement came across, and she subsequently went on a television news channel and basically stated that Senator Akpabio was not allowing her to be heard and was not allowing her proposals to be heard because a while back, she and her husband had gone to one of his country homes or a holiday home of his, and whilst he was giving them a tour of the home, he made a sexual advance towards her when her husband was out of earshot. Now, she stated that her husband that evening when they were at home asked her if anything had been said to her when he was out of earshot, because obviously he noticed that his wife's disposition was quite different. Her countenance wasn't the same, and she denied that anything had gone on that evening. Now, what Senator Natasha has said, I'm not even going to say that she implied it. What she said is that basically she'd been silenced and her hands had been tied in terms of how she was going to do her job because the Senate President Akpabio was trying to force her in a position to acquiesce to his demands or advances, which is basically he wanted to sleep with her. Now, the whole thing became a bit of a soap opera. The Senate President's wife then sued Senator Natasha for defamation or something like that, which I don't know how the lawsuit would stand because she wasn't the one that was being accused. Her husband was being accused. So I don't think that she can make a suit on behalf of her husband. But anyway, she made the lawsuit. Now, after that, things got worse for her in the workplace. She wasn't allowed to be heard again in the Senate when she attended, and subsequently her hands were tied. She had to make the accusation a formal complaint because she was being accused of misconduct in the public sector, and she had to make the accusation a formal complaint within the Senate. Now, the Senate President Akpabio presided over his own accusation, or his own case, and eventually threw it out. And it was thrown out in a very contentious manner, whereby the members of the Senate, a lot of them, their vote was taken by proxy. So basically, if you attended Senate that day, your attendance was taken as a vote against Senator Natasha. Subsequently, Senator Natasha was suspended from the Senate for 6 months. So she's not allowed to do her job. She's not allowed to attend to her constituents or anything like that for the period of 6 months. This escalated to Senator Natasha taking this matter to the UN. and basically stating her case that she has been unlawfully suspended from the Nigerian Senate because she accused the Senate president of sexual harassment, and the case has not been heard, and she's not been allowed to do her job. She's being silenced. She's being further oppressed. And the UN said that they would look into the matter. Now, obviously, the fact that this has escalated outside of Nigeria has caused further embarrassment for Nigeria itself. The Nigerian government is doing something to sort of what I would call illegally remove her from a position. So they basically called for, they said they were doing something called a is it incentive or empowerment, an empowerment initiative for her constituents, and many of her constituents were invited to come and get this empowerment. When they got there, they were asked to bring their voters card and their identification card. When they got there, they were told to sign some kind of petition in order to receive the empowerment. When some of them asked exactly what are they signing, they were told that they were signing a petition of no confidence, for a vote of no confidence against Senator Natasha, which would effectively remove her from office. Now, the person that they are trying to replace her with is somebody who is a very problematic character, in the sense that he also has been accused of fraud and so on and so forth. And he also, I think when Senator Natasha was initially running, he broke down all the roads and things like that so that people couldn't attend the polling stations to vote. So he's a very dubious, contentious character in himself. And this is the person that Akpabio is nominating to replace Senator Natasha, because they're saying that her constituents have gone for a vote of no confidence, but the constituents are saying that actually no, they went for empowerment and their vote has been obtained illegally. So what I will say is that in terms of Senator Natasha's accusation, having been somebody that has worked and lived in Nigeria for 3 years, over a decade ago, I would absolutely say that the environment is a highly misogynistic one against women. If in the UK, they're saying that 75% of girls experience sexual harassment, school-aged girls experience some form of sexual harassment, then we can assume that, that means that 75% of women or over within the UK experience some form of sexual harassment. That's within the UK. I would say that in Nigeria, it should be about 98% of women, if not 99.99% of women, will experience some form of sexual harassment within the workplace or business place, because it's just par for the courses over there. Let's be honest. Women's opinions, women's views, women's bodies are not valued. And if you say something, you're automatically an ashawo, which in Nigeria is a word for slut. Anything that you say that a man disagrees with, you're called a slut. Whether you are or not, there's no such thing as slut shaming, because by default, you must be a slut because you did not do what this man said or what this man wanted. It is very much like, if you've seen the program Mad Men, I would say that is very much the mentality within the workforce in Nigeria. It's very sort of 1950s, what you expect in 1950s Britain or 1950s America, before anybody was aware of anything like gender equality, sexual harassment, Me Too movement, anything like that. If a senator's voice cannot be heard, what more of the average Nigerian woman? It's a very, very sad situation. And Nigeria, you need to do better. If you do not do better, that nation will not progress. Because when women are empowered, things happen in a positive direction. And I believe that you already have a situation that there are very, very few women in this position. She is one of 4 women in this position. And you are effectively trying to remove her from office. Another female senator has also come out and said that, look, she's having trouble having her voice heard and her petitions heard and so on and so forth. So, you know, what is the point? Are they ceremonial figures that you've put there? If Senator Natasha is also somebody whose husband is a very powerful man, he's from a royal family. So she's a woman that would have a voice compared to the average Nigerian woman. So, you know, if you're treating her this way, how do you expect the average Nigerian woman to be able to cope within that kind of society or economic structure? You know, it's virtually impossible, and it's unfair, and it's not right. You know, the girl child has an important role to play in society. The girl child's voice needs to be heard and cannot be treated or shouted down or dumbed down. We cannot be reduced to the sum of our genital organs and the satisfaction that it can give a man. It's not right. Please do better. I'm not expecting Nigerian men to change overnight. I'm not expecting them to do, you know, to become feminists. But what you do not want somebody to do to your own daughter, to your wife, or to the most respected female in your family, your mother, don't do that to somebody else's mother, wife, or daughter. We are all someone's wife, daughter, or mother. And Senator Akpabio, you know you did it. You've been accused of this numerous times.
Reports that when Godswill Akpabio was a governor, he was corrupt.
You know, he was corrupt. Not only he was corrupt, but he was also in the habit of abusing, you know, women.
This is not the first woman in government that has come out and accused you of sexual harassment. You know, Senator Natasha said something very important the first time that she spoke out against you. She said, I am not afraid of you. And truth be told, from the rumors that have been going around about your dealings and the way you behave and the way you move and the way your wife moves, perhaps she should be afraid of you, because not the best has been said. But if this isn't true, then please do better. Let the evidence speak for itself. Now, that situation was a simple he said, she said situation. And if it had been heard, if her complaint had been heard within Senate properly, then I'm sure it would have been thrown out. I'm sure it's something that you guys could have thrashed out amongst yourselves. But then you decided to exercise undue amount of power and authority and oppress this woman. It isn't right. And the fact that other senators have sat by and said nothing because, well, the female senators are afraid, women in government are afraid to speak out against you, and the men there too have their own petitions and their own money and their own shady dealings. I do believe that Senator Natasha must be very, very clean. She must be one of the least fraudulent, least problematic politicians in Nigeria, because the only thing that they have used to attack her is that she's been married more than once. She has children for other people, other men that she was married to, other than her current husband. That is everything that they're throwing at her has something to do with misogynistic or misogynoir. It is sad. Stop it. Attack her work. Attack what she's doing, what she has or has not done for her people. But you can't find that. So you attack her character. Please do better. Anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions on that particular debacle. I don't see her coming out of this in a positive light, unfortunately, because that's just the way Nigeria is. But I hope a miracle happens, and I hope the president intervenes or something and does something on her behalf. I hope the matter is settled. But we will keep you posted on whatever is happening. Until next time, bye.